Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Wolves Unpacked. I'm delighted to be sat here, day 2 on the sunny Algarve with Adam Armstrong. Adam, coming into the changing rooms last year, it was a difficult season, atmosphere not necessarily what it could be in the club. How was that to come into?
Yeah, I think I've seen the situation before I signed, knew what I was coming into. As a professional athlete, you have to try and give your best every day, and I felt like I tried to do that when I came. And yeah, look, the situation that we were in was tough, but it was for me to try and use that experience of being back in the Premier League again and try and get the boys to keep going really and just see it out. And I think if you look at when I first come in with the points we were on, and we done really well in the end to end the points that we did, but unfortunately enough, it wasn't enough to stay in the league. And you watch the Premier League every week, and every team's unbelievable. There's no easy game, and yeah, it's, like you said, it was a hard pill to swallow, but we're here now, and we have to crack on and move forward.
The changing rooms last season, you've got a lot of players from different transfer windows, different managers. Yeah. How is that to navigate as a new player?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I've seen it quite a lot in my times when I was at Newcastle and Southampton. You have different cultures of boys coming in, and I think it's for us as the English guys to try and help them settle in as much as they can. And it was obviously when I signed, it was the reverse. It was me that was coming into the dressing room, and no one really knew anything about us from the offside of the pitch. But yeah, it's all about getting each other together and trying having conversations just to ease them in. And yeah, like you said, I think if we make more signings this year, I'm sure that we'll all be trying to help them settle in because we've all been there once. And yeah, it's just getting that culture together and seeing what people like to do on and off the pitch and kind of build a relationship like that. And that definitely helps on the pitch for your relationship as well. So I think it's massive, to get to know your new teammates and really embrace the culture that they have, that you have. And yeah, it always benefits when you go onto the pitch.
And as a new player, like you just said, you're coming in and not many of them not necessarily know who you are at that stage. That first training session, are you wanting to get your first touch right? Your first finish, you want to bang it?
Yeah, I think,
Did they realise straight away after?
No, I think you just have to, they signed you for a reason. I always say that when you go to a new club, they want you there because they've signed you, and you want to just try and make a mark on what you are as a player and try and help out as much as you can and really put a marker down and show your class of why they've signed you. And yeah, like I said, every one of the lads has been in that situation, and it's not an easy situation, but this group made us feel like home straight away, so it was perfect. Okay,
great. Well, I think that's enough about last season. Let's think about the season upcoming. In the Championship, somewhere you've had 2 20-plus goals seasons in this league. What kind of things do we have to adapt? Let's say tactically first, on the pitch. What do we need to expect? What do we need to change?
I feel it's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more direct. There's a lot of big centre backs, and it's a tough league. I think you've seen it, haven't you, of over the years? And I've spent quite a lot of my career in the Championship, and it's a tough league to get out of from experience. You have to think quite quick on the pitches and how they're setting up and what they're doing, and you have to try and work it out quite quick. But it's I usually say it's a lot more physical. For me, it's a lot more entertaining because there's more attacks. For myself, it's more back and forwards than the Premier League. If you lose the ball in the Premier, you're not getting it back for a good 5 minutes. I would say the Championship's a bit more of a turnover. But like you said, it's still got a lot of qualities that we have to be prepared for. It's the same. There's no easy game. It's the same in the Premier League. I think top of the league can get beat off bottom of the league, and I've seen that for many years. It's a crazy league like that. But if you can really focus on that side of the game and have a real togetherness in the group, it comes a long way when you get around the Christmas period and past then. You have to try and stick together as a group because I think you've seen the fixture list. You're playing quite a lot of games, 2 or 3 times a week, and you have to just kind of take it in your stride really and build that momentum. And yeah, I'm sure hopefully we'll be towards the top end of the table.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I just spoke to Tommy Doyle, And he said about how fun the Championship as well. And I think that is a bit about that sort of more back and forth nature maybe. And for yourself, the sort of spaces that you occupy, that must mean that, the ball's coming into you in positions that favour you a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say really. I think obviously because the quality's not the Premier League, the Premier League's the Premier League because of what it is. You do get a lot more chances in the Championship, whether you defend when you're a defender or attacker. Things are different in the game. But I always say it's probably one of the most competitive leagues that I've played in. I've seen it so many times. You could be 15th, 16th in the league with a lot of games left, and you end up finishing in the playoffs. If you get that momentum at the right times, it really makes a difference. And I think it's just trying to sustain it for the whole season. I know it's easy to say it now, but if you can sustain it, then hopefully we'll have a really good chance of bouncing back up.
Yeah, great. And in terms of mentality, I think that, especially for the last few seasons, at Wolves we've been, around the bottom of the league, and you've got a mentality probably that isn't always about wanting to go and win the game, isn't necessarily always about wanting to score goals, it's about trying to conserve. So how do you change that mentality?
It's a hard one really. I think you've just got to just take every game as it comes really, and yeah, like you said, it's a hard one because the Premier League's a lot different to the Championship in my opinion, and I think a lot of other boys would say the same thing. But it's just sustaining it, like I've said, and try and work on it. It's hard to work on, but you have to try. In pre-season and all that sort of stuff. And when the games come thick and fast, you soon change that mentality of we're getting more chances, we're keeping the ball more. You end up a draw's not good enough. You want to win every week. Of course, you want to do that in the Premier League, but that's a lot different. And you get to a point in the stage where you're not happy with the draw, which you probably would be in the Premier League. But yeah, like you said, we have to try and take every game as it comes, and we'll have different challenges along the way, against all sorts of types of teams, whether that's a team playing out from the back or a lot of teams going direct and putting it on us. But yeah, I think you've got to adapt quite quick in the Championship because there's enough games to do that, and kind of just figure it out along the way.
Thinking about some of the players that are out on the training pitch at the moment, whether it's 18-year-old like Matheus Mane or it's someone with a bit more experience now like Andre, neither of them have played in the Championship either. So are there messages that you want to give them, and are they do they differ because Mane's younger and Andre's a bit more experienced? What kind of things do you want to tell them?
You're in for a ride. That's what I say. No, it's honestly, it's just trying to get the message across of how competitive it is, and I think the biggest thing is just you should never take any team lightly in the Champ. Well, like I said before, whether the bottom of the league or not, it's always a tough game. It's always, every game's the same. You're gonna have good days and you're gonna have bad days. I think that's just how football is. But the biggest message for me would be say not to take a team lightly, even though the table would say different. When you're halfway through the season, never take a game lightly and just kind of just enjoy it as well. Because like you said, there's been a lot of lads that have never played in the Championship, and honestly, when you get going, it's a brilliant league and competitive, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Great. I just mentioned Mane. How enjoyable was it to play with him last year, and you were excited to link up with him again?
Yeah, of course. I obviously knew Mane before, like watching him when he was at Wolves, and yeah, he just seems to be kicking on. I can see his talent. I've seen it a lot of my career of young boys with talent, but he's definitely one that's got it, and he needs to keep working hard, and I'm sure he knows that he'll reach the very top if he keeps going the way he's going, because you see stuff in training that, wow, he's one of them players, and it helps that he's such a grounded boy as well. He wants to learn, he wants to get better every day, and he's got lads around him that'll always here to help him. So I think that can only stand him in great stead going forward. Really
nice. There've been two major signings this summer. First one, Kieran Trippier. How important is it to have someone like him in the changing room?
Yeah, massive. He's played in the Championship before. He's played at the very top, for his country and the teams that he's played for. So to have his experience in and around the group, which you've touched on, there's a lot of younger boys. It's always going to help, because you listen to those sort of players. If you see them doing it week in, week out, on the training pitch, it's like, wow, we have to book up our ideas. but yeah, he's an amazing signing, great guy, and yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with him.
What's he like out on the training pitch? Because I've seen him for a little bit this morning and yesterday. It seems like he doesn't shut up.
No, I'm actually rooming with him now. He's a great lad, and like you said, he's always up for a laugh. But when it gets down to the training ground, you know, he's bang on it. And for his age and what he's doing now, he's an absolute machine. And yeah, hats off to him.
Yeah, he seems like a great influence. The other sort of big name signing is Raul Jimenez now. For a fan like me, it's amazing. It's like a dream to have him come back. It feels like him coming home. It's incredible. And what about for yourself? Because I'm sure you watched him in the World Cup, and you live seen him in Wolves colours yourself as well. What's it like to have someone of his quality coming in?
It just shows I think it just shows the ambition of the club of what they want to do going forward. You know, when you bring names in like that, it's kind of, you know, it makes you think, wow, we've 2 great signings there, and this is the direction we want to go. And you know, we're not messing about. We want to go straight back to the Premier League, because that's where everyone wants to play. And them 2 boys have had massive experiences in the Premier League and the Championship. So to see them boys come in, and like you said, for Raul, what he done at the World Cup was incredible. So yeah, to get the chance to play alongside of him will be unbelievable. And I know what he means to the Wolves fans. You know, every kid's a fan growing up, and when you see a legend come back to your club, it's a very nice feeling.
Raul's signing was obviously massive for everyone, and I think it was a really nice gesture that was appreciated by the fans, certainly, to give him the number 9.
Yeah.
What made you do that, and why?
It was a no-brainer, really. I think, you know, I'm a football fan myself, and if a legend was coming back to my club, you know, I'd like to think that someone would do the same thing. So yeah, it was an easy decision, you know, to give him the number 9 shirt. And for me, I've only been here, I think it was 6 months. So, you know, like you said, it's an honour to give him the number 9 shirt, and hopefully we can have a great relationship on the pitch and score some goals for the fans to celebrate, and we have a great year.
And what about on the pitch, you and Raul? Because the way you play, I think you're always looking for that quick layoff to someone. A lot of the time, like I see you know, play a first touch pass, maybe around the corner, and I think Raul's always making those runs, like the runs just around the back of a defender. So are you looking forward to linking up with him?
Yeah, if the manager plays us both, isn't it? No, that's down to myself and Raul, you know, to get that relationship on the pitch. And like you said, I'm looking forward to seeing him, you know, to learn from him as well. Because I've watched him for years. He's a top class player, and I touch on again, to have someone like that in the dressing room and around it, who's been there and done it, and still wants to strive to get back to the Premier League. It definitely makes an impact on everyone else and the younger boys, and seeing them do their work every day, it makes you want to get to where them boys have been.
And you mentioned then, you know, maybe you and him vying for one spot, not sure yet. What is your best position? Because I think you occupied quite almost like all of those front four positions last season for us.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one. I think as I've got older, you know, I've always been an out-and-out striker, and that's where I do see myself. But if you look at my time at Southampton in the Championship, I scored 20-odd goals playing off the right, where Shea Adams was down the middle. And I think it's just getting the link between who you're playing with. And at the time, the manager seen that I was more effective off the right because of what Shea was doing as a number 9. And yeah, I think, like you said, the manager is going to have his own opinion of how he sees the game and what he wants to see the team. But yeah, like I said, I'm happy to play anywhere for the manager, and whether that's off the right, off the left, number 10 or striker, it doesn't make a difference to me, as long as I'm on the pitch in them sort of areas, trying to make a good impression and putting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah,
well, the goal against Brentford last year, I think I got very excited on the podcast at that time, and I was like, this is what Drogba used to do. This is exactly his kind of goal. Sure. But I think like the ball comes through from Bellegarde, it's like first touch, left, across, and then bang, right top corner. Is that type of thing, one touch and banging it, is that something that you're constantly thinking about when you receive the ball? Yeah,
I think I always used to work on it as a kid. You know, growing up, I always got told as a striker to get your shots off, you know, as fast as you can, and I always got told to shoot through legs because defenders are always coming in with the leg up, and it's just little things like that that's like kind of stick in your mind. And yeah, for that goal example, I knew I had the defender where I wanted him, and it was all about the touch. And when I seen the touch was perfect, I thought, yeah, I've got to try and hit the target. That was the main thing, and luckily for me, it went in the back of the net, and that's the sort of goals I like to score, you know, when it's off a bit of instinct. And yeah, hopefully there's many more to come.
Yeah, great. I got Mateus to do this yesterday, and I always try and get footballers to do it when I interview them. If I've never seen you before on the pitch, I've never watched you before, how would you explain how you play football?
Good question. I would say I'm very direct. Always like to make runs in behind, try and be a nuisance for the defenders as much as I can. Like to link play as well, and I feel like I'm best when I'm in and around the box, getting my shots off. And you know, I've had a decent career so far of scoring goals, but like you said, in and around the box, that's where I like to be, and kind of creating space for myself or others to get the goals and help the team win.
Yeah, great. And on which note, we have a new manager.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you haven't spent that much time with him. It's been a couple of weeks back for pre-season. But what are the messages and the points that he's been trying to get across to you straight away on the training pitch?
It's been really good. First of all, I think he's been very intense with us, which has been good. It's been a great start of pre-season. And at the minute, it's just the little things of tactics of how he wants to see the game on the pitch, you know, with the ball and without the ball, that sort of stuff. And we've just been going through that really and trying to learn what he wants, and he's trying to probably look at us all to see what we're like as players, because he's probably never seen us before. And yeah, it's just getting that relationship together, and relationships on the pitch, like I touched on before, with, you know, creating connections with players, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more in the next couple of weeks when it really starts to come down to it. And yeah, he's been spot on.
Yeah, great. Because I think for Wolves fans as well as players, you know, we didn't know anything about him when we first heard of his name. We tried to scramble around and find little bits and pieces. But what are those, like a couple of things? What has he sort of tried to get across? Let's say when you've got the ball, when the team's got the ball, how does he want us to play?
He wants us to be really aggressive with the ball and without the ball. I think that's been the main message. Fast attacks, being solid behind the ball, and when the other team have the ball, be a nuisance. You know, try and win the ball back as fast as you can to give you the best chance to score. You know, we want to win the ball high up in the pitch. You know, kind of suffocate teams, and I've seen that in the past where that's been the best way to go about it in the Championship, and you know, try not to let a team settle. So yeah, we've been working a lot on that, you know, with the ball and without the ball, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come.
And in those sort of initial sessions with a new manager, are you sort of like trying to suss him out at the same time as he's trying to suss the players out? Are you trying to sort of work out what he wants?
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal, you know, to see what he likes and what he doesn't like as a, you know, for us players, and we have to try and get the balance of what he does. And yeah, as pre-season goes on, you know, I'm sure before the first game of the season comes, we'll know each other in and out, you know, the players and the staff, and what they like, what they don't like, and yeah, I think it's going to work out really well.
New season's not so far away. Have you got any personal aims?
No, I've said it in a few interviews before that I never set myself targets. I think, you know, in my career, I've never done it, and I feel like if I did do it, it would always be the sort of chasing. You know, if I set a goal target, it would be, oh, I'm nowhere near it, or I'm close to it. I think it would just kind of, I like to play with no pressure. I definitely don't put any pressure on myself to go out there and say I'm going to definitely get these goals. Of course, I'm confident that I am going to score goals, but I would never put a target on it, because touch wood, if you don't get anywhere near it, then you're going to be annoyed at yourself. And yeah, I'm a pretty chill guy, and yeah, just try and do it on the pitch.
Yeah, nice. And what about for the team?
Yeah, I think we have to get promoted, and we want to win the league. I think, you know, with the squad we've got, with the manager that we've brought in, we have to try and, you know, end the last season we have to put behind us now, because it's moving forward. You know, we all want the same goal, is to win the league and get back to the Premier League. You know, everyone in that dressing room wants to play in the Premier League, and I'm no different. So I'll be driving that from the boys, and we'll be trying our best to get back there.